Hey, I'm Kallitechnis, and I'm here with Rising Stars doing Rising Thoughts.
First card.
Fear.
What is the scariest part about creating music for you?
Scariest part of creating music for myself?
Yeah.
If anything. Oh boy, yeah, of course, there's a lot of fear. Whoa, I feel like there's so much of it that I'm trying to like pinpoint one avenue. Fear, you know what? Fear of all the energy that I put into the art not reaching a big enough audience or not having like as much of an impact. I just don't want my art to like only be for me. Like it starts with being for me. So it starts as therapy. It starts as like my personal expression. But ultimately I want it to reach a point where it matches my purpose, which I believe is to just like amplify self-empowerment and positivity and love in the world. So I think my biggest fear is just it not touching enough people.
What fear would you hope your music help people?
A fear of not believing in themselves. I would hope that my music empowers people so that they're just not afraid to dream up anything that they think is possible. I think fear is limiting and it makes our world feel very small and limit and just yeah, I think that just fear makes us feel really small and makes us feel like we don't have options. So I would just hope that my music broadens people's perspective and just allows them to see the possibility that lies within themselves the minute that they just try to believe in themselves and in their capabilities.
Moments where you feel small, which is fear.
Through music, through finding joy again, I think when I'm afraid, I just get into this like negative spiral and it's my ego really taking over and it's like the ego tries to like attach itself to things. So if I'm afraid, I start feeling doubtful and insecure and I get into comparison mode and I'm just like trying to validate that feeling because I'm not feeling good. So like it's almost like when you're sad, you want to watch a movie that's gonna make you cry because it's gonna validate that emotion. So I think fear acts a lot in the same way. And when I try to get out of that, I just like try to do things that I know are going to instantly bring me joy, which is like discovering new music, like making music, recording, writing, spending time with my family, just like getting out of my own way and getting out of my own head.
Good life advice for everyone.
Just learning as I go along.
Learning.
Just learning and unlearning.
Yeah. Next card, please.
Sadness.
In 2017, in your song "Come Up," you say, "I'm sick of all the empty embraces." How does that lyric resonate?
It is still relevant because I think in this industry, in music and in like life in general, there will always be people that aren't necessarily genuine in their interactions with you. And a lot of the industry is based on like transactional relationships. So that phrase about like empty embraces, all it really means is like people being there, but like not really being there for the right reasons, let's say. And an example of this that I just want to share because I want to like call out people, but like not directly, but like if you do this, like it's fucking whack. Like for instance, and like an example of that phrase in a real life situation, when someone asks you a question and they're just asking you a question to ask you the question and they're not even listening to your answer. Like, have you ever been in that situation where it's like, hey, so like, what are you working on? And then like you start answering and they're like, like,
or they're just waiting for their
response. Like, don't talk to me. Like, don't talk to me. Like, people who just want to be there to say that they were there, but they're not actually present. That's an empty embrace to me. And like, I cannot deal with it.
You're about to move to LA. Do you fear that?
That's everywhere, for real. Like LA it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Yeah, and it's like it's not even personal. Like I don't get like irritated because it's like, oh wow, they don't care about my answer. No, it's like people just doing things insincerely. It's just like a waste of everybody's time and energy. Like it's not. Yeah, it's like if you don't want to answer, like want the answer to this question. Just don't ask it and like let's move on. That's all.
Lesson to everyone listening.
Yes.
Don't do it.
Please don't.
And can you tell us about a song where the lyrics came from that emotional state?
Yes. Okay, so Gifted was a song that I wrote in the middle of the pandemic when I was feeling like very stuck and like everybody around me, like our lives were halted, and it just like inspired existential crisis. And I realized that like I've spent so much of my time waiting for permission to do things, and that makes me sad when I realize like I haven't always empowered myself, and I've like waited for other people to like direct me or give me approval to like, okay, you can do this, or like, yes, this is good. Like I just need to be the one to acknowledge that like I'm gifted, and I want other people to acknowledge that they don't need to like wait for someone else to tell them so, that they already possess a lot of the power that they desire. And so that came from a place of sadness, because like I felt sad that I hadn't realized that sooner, or that like I didn't give myself enough credit. So Gifted came from a sad place, but it ended up being empowering. So that's like the alchemy that I like to do, to perform in my music. It's just like taking an emotion that's like inherently like negative and turning it into a positive.
I feel like so often we're like, oh, I wish I realized this sooner.
Mm-hmm.
But in my head, I'm like, well, I realize it now, and I'm not saying
Yeah. No regrets.
exactly.
No like,
No regrets.
yeah, it is what it is. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Love.
On your Spotify, you have a number of playlists called "Wake Up to Love"
Mm-hmm.
or
Yeah, woke up to love.
"Woke Up to Love." What does waking up to love look like to you?
Setting the tone for the day. I think it, to me, means gratitude. I think I started that playlist series because I wanted to start the day acknowledging how blessed I am, how blessed in like material ways, like just through my privilege, but also just through like my proximity to people that love me, and like the support around me, my community. And so waking up to love is just meant to be a reminder that like, okay, look, like your cup is already so full. Just remind yourself of that before you go throughout the day, because once you acknowledge, I think, the love that's inside of you, it's easier to like share that with other people and like amplify that goodness that's already there. It's kind of like a ripple effect. So yeah, it's just meant to like start the tone for the day, really reminding yourself that you pretty much have everything you need.
Just waking up and
Yeah. Yeah.
like finding the love in that.
Exactly. As cheesy as it is, like at the end of the day, it really does come down to something as simple and complex as like love and like feeling full from the inside.
I'm very pro cheesy. Like,
Yeah.
you can hate on whatever it is, but always like as cheesy as it sounds.
Welcome
like,
to the
it's
club.
The stuff you need. Yeah.
Yeah, welcome to the club.
And your lyrics often explore themes of love and relationships. So how do you draw from personal experiences to create relatable songs?
I think it's just effortless. I think it's so easy to talk about love because there are so many different forms of it that we experiment with or like are a part of in every day. And yeah, I think it's like easy to write from experience because you don't have to make anything up. You don't have to like even imagine anything. I think the only way I try to make it relatable is like I try to be aware of how maybe my personal experiences mirror someone else's, and then I try to find like the commonalities in that, or like even more specifically like certain words that like I will use to describe my experience that I know other people will also use. So in that sense I try to make it relatable, but I think essentially we all are different versions of the same things. Like I think it's easy to just find commonality with like another human being if you just remind yourself that we're the same. We're all the same. Different words can be used, but like we all go through the same things.
And you brought up
one that I'm trying to be more aware of and trying to put more of my energy towards is community love, because in R&B, in music, as a woman, like we're just taught from such a young age to focus on romantic love, to feel fulfilled through our romantic relationships. And I think in a lot of ways that's such a huge distraction from what it means to be like a human. It's just like so easy to get caught up in like wanting to feel validated through one form of love, when I think that community love and like finding love with like people that have common interests, with your neighbors, um, with the people around you that like don't necessarily like validate you in like one specific way, which is like the romantic way. I think it just can do so much better for the world and like how we interact on a daily basis and how we can impact one another. So I'm trying to shift a lot of my energy towards that, and trying to consciously also shift that energy through my lyrics to like not always talk about romantic relationships, but like some of the other interpersonal relationships or like community based love. And yeah, I think it's important to make that shift and to be conscious of the fact that like when you're a little girl, like you're constantly told to be saved and to be like the pick me girl, and like, oh, the prince is gonna come rescue me, and like, oh, that's all I need in this life, to be a wife, to be a mother, to be like always in relation to a romantic relationship to a man. Yeah, it's just there's more to life than that.
Yeah, I think that's a huge lesson, especially in so often.
Yeah,
Romantic ones.
exactly.
Yeah, it's something
I think so. I think the shift is happening already. Anger.
How do you navigate expressing anger as a female artist in the R&B industry, and how does it contribute to
Ooh, anger. Okay, well, I don't think it's useful for me to like channel anger solely in an emotional way. I think what helps me channel anger in a way that a lot of more people can understand is, yeah, through the emotion, which is in the execution of like a verse or whatever like I'm performing, but also just through a retelling of an experience and just like the description. Yeah, I try not to like give too much energy to emotions that don't make me feel good. It's not about pretending they're not there. It's just knowing where you want to invest your energy, and where your energy goes and where your attention goes is like what you give fuel to and what you choose to amplify. So that's why I try to go away towards the anger. Like I do have the songs about like the feeling like something's unjust or feeling frustrated, and like that's definitely in the anger category. But yeah, I'd rather shift my focus away from that, because like that's undeniable. Like we're going to feel that as humans, but I'd rather promote something else through my music.
I feel like that was a hard lesson. Putting your emotions in
I think I definitely put my emotions in the wrong place in my personal life, and I have learned to not do that, or like I'm better at not doing that. And I've always just been conscious of like what I put into my music, because I know that it goes beyond me, and like the minute that it's public, I know it's going to have an impact on somebody else's life, and I'd rather it be a positive one. Yeah. Cool. Joy.
So you recently tweeted, I'm not going to read out the whole thing, the first four lines. Boundaries over people pleasing, listening over speaking, doing over thinking, praise over gossip. What can you tell us about boundaries, listening, doing, and praise that brings you joy?
Yes.
Tweet came to be itself.
Yeah, okay. I realize like what the common thread is there. I'm a recovering people pleaser. So lately I've been finding a lot of my joy in undoing a lot of the people pleasing that I have learned to put my energy towards. I think I've spent so much of my life kind of like looking outside of myself to make sure everybody else is okay, and validating myself and associating my value and my self-worth with like, am I helping you? Like, do I make you feel good? Like, am I getting your approval? And I realized that now that like I realize how toxic that can be and how unhelpful that is, and like how that is just like not a very sustainable way to live, to constantly like look outside of you to feel good and to like feel validated. I'm finding a lot of joy in like setting boundaries, and again just being conscious of like where I'm putting my energy.
Things do you say to yourself to validate yourself?
um I think it's more being conscious of like what I choose to do and not to do, like certain events that like I don't want to go to, or if I haven't like gone through my to-do list, like I'm not gonna like go out of my way to help somebody else, because like I know that I'm not gonna be good. Like even if I'm trying to help you, like I'm not gonna be present because like I know that I haven't done my shit and I haven't like taken care of myself. So yeah, it's more through actions and like choosing where to go and how to show up for myself before I get to show up for others.
Yeah, because you have to show up for yourself.
Yeah, you know,
you can't be fully present.
it's like back to that like cheesy stuff. It's like you hear people saying that like, oh, like fill your cup before you like fill, you know, we want to help anybody else. Like put your oxygen mask on, like, you know, the very like common examples, but they're real. And then when you like realize that like, oh shit, now I actually have to do the work and apply it to my own life, like that's what I'm currently trying right now. But like it really does bring joy to also look back and to compare, right? So like to treat us, to enter a situation now versus how you used to show up, and like just to be like, oh shit, like I used to do that and like I would have made this choice in this situation and now I don't, and I feel better, and I'm not like, oh fuck, like I neglected myself again or whatever. Like it definitely feels good, and yeah, it feels good to like regain that trust within yourself.
Yeah, yeah, but that,
Thank you.
yeah.
Surprise.
We wear many hats: singing, songwriting, art curation. Which of these do you manage to surprise yourself the most often?
I surprise myself with singing because I'm constantly unlocking different parts of my voice. Like the more comfortable I become in like my skin as a human, the more like comes out of me, because yeah, the voice is like very complicated. It's not like your ordinary instrument. It's like very much connected to your spirit. Like not to take it on that woo level, but like it really is. And yeah, the more I become like confident, like the more I become uninhibited and like let go of certain fears, the more I uncover about my voice. And it's definitely surprising to hear certain things and certain like nuances and emotions come out when like I haven't let myself experience that before.
Would it be like you?
That I have so many blockages in my voice just because I'm afraid, and it's like all mental. It's like it has nothing to do with an ability. It's just very much connected to like the psychology of it all. Like I have like mental blockages that like make that manifest in my voice.
And how do you unblock
Oof. I'm starting to work with a really cool vocal coach that acknowledges this like link, and like actually was, I was already aware of this connection, but he was like one of the first people to like bring it out in me in like a vocal session. And I think just through practice and like through building up trust in my voice and like again confidence in myself, that I'm going to be able to like break that, because it's just like a mental barrier. It's not like, oh, you can't sing this certain note, or like, yeah, it's just something like a switch. Like I have this like button that I click because I'm scared. And it's like, let's say I want to project and like I'm feeling like fearful or like doubtful that like my voice can go there. I'll like pull away and like I'll constrict my voice. But with practice and with coaching, I'll be able to like not make that association anymore. Yeah.
Excited.
Excited for that day.
Yeah.
It's already happening,
Yeah.
but like excited for that, like to not even be.
Growth.
Yeah, for sure.
And were you surprised when your single hit?
Yes, surprise may not be like the right word for it. Just like happy that no, maybe it is surprise, to be honest. It's like it's cool to be seen when you're always like used to being like in a bubble and like operating with blinders on, not because like you don't care about what everybody else is doing around you, but like especially when you're an independent artist, you're an entrepreneur, you're like your own boss, you have to move like with extreme focus. And like my manager and I are always like, very diligent and like strategic about how we work. So we don't make music to get recognized. So when we do get recognized, especially as independent artists by like the Junos and like a platform of that like stature of like that level, it feels cool. It feels like, oh shit, like people are actually paying attention. So in that sense, it's a surprise. It's like, oh my God. It's not surprising as in like, oh, like how like, this song, like how could it get like, that acclaim? Like I believe in my music and I know that the people around me do, but it's yeah, a pleasant surprise just for other people to pay attention, I guess. Okay, bonus question.
So, first bonus question is what's next for you? What's the rest of the year look like?
What's next? New environment, growing in a personal way that will impact my career. So like moving away from Montreal just for a little bit. I've grown up on like the same block my entire life, born and raised in Montreal. So I'm just gonna like, fly from the nest for a little bit, get uncomfortable, get inspired, come back and yeah, just go. I'm like moving to LA just to stop talking in like analogies and like poetically, like moving to LA where I really feel I have a good community of collaborators and where I feel like very much supported in my vision for myself as an artist and like where I want Kallitechnis to go, like in terms of music, in terms of like just everything, in terms of the world that I want to create through my art. So that's what's next. A lot of more traveling, a lot more shows. I want to refocus my energy on performing and like doing things in person with the people who listen to my music. I think I've done a lot of like existing online, and I think in any industry, it's like we exist so much online that we forget the impact that our crafts can have on people, like when we link up in real life, and how much more meaningful that can be when we connect on a human level. And it's not just like comments here and all these like superficial forms of interaction. So I'm excited to just focus on my live show and tour this upcoming year.
That was also part of the tweet. I read it before the rest of it said like IRL versus
Yeah.
it's real.
It's real, and it's not that like I resent the internet. It's like allowed me to have a career and will continue to allow me to have a career and just to communicate with people and like connect with people all over the world. But especially in an age where technology is moving so fast and where technology is like infiltrating like all levels of communication and like our everyday lives, I think it's so much more important to like, yeah, move with the times, but refocus on like what our forte is. So like above all, I'm a human being. I'm not like the avatar. I'm like a human being with emotions, and like the reason why I'm an artist and why people connect to the art and why people like see themselves in the music is because I'm conveying my human experiences and my emotions. So yeah, just focusing on the human that is in me so that other people can also like recognize that power and that beauty in themselves.
And after having done this Rising Thoughts interview, what question would you ask a fellow artist?
Like what I would ask them?
Yeah, or just like you as an artist, what would you like
Uh, who do you do it for?
Who do you do it
Myself. Like above all, like myself. I think I'm my harshest critic, and I'm it, because I'm like coming from a place where I'm like a recovering people pleaser, and I know how shitty it feels to like put all your energy out there and to still feel dissatisfied and empty. That was even confirmation even more that like if I'm not pleased with myself, then like everything else falls apart. So above all, like I'm making music and I'm making art for me, because anything else is futile, because you can't count on like anything that's outside of you. It's like out of reach always. Like it can feel good temporarily, but the only thing that's a constant is you. Photo.
I'm going to show you a photo.
Ah.
And I would like to know what you would say.
Oh boy. Oh my God. Yeah, I got you. I know what that is. I would tell her that like her feeling like she doesn't belong to one group and how she's always like outside of like certain like social groups, but like always belonging to like different ones but not belonging to a single one. I would tell her that that's a good thing, and it like to not dwell on feeling left out, but instead to focus on how cool it is and how impactful it can be to be able to connect with different groups of people. It's not about like not fitting in with one. It's about like, look, you can fit in with all these different groups of people as opposed to just belonging to one. So I would tell her that like, you're not weird, and maybe you are a little bit weird, but it's a good thing. And it's like, it's nice. It's like very, I don't know. I think I've really always been that kid or that person that's like, getting along with like the unpopular kids, but also the popular kids, and like the chess club kids and the soccer baseball kids, and like I was always everywhere, and I didn't realize it at the time that like there's a certain beauty and like power to be able to connect with different types of people. Guess the lyrics. Okay.
Okay, so I'm not gonna say, but thoughts are blossoming into lovely flowers again.
I already know.
Okay, you got it.
It's the first song I ever released called Talk Talk Talk. Yeah.
So keep going.
Thoughts are blossoming into lovely flowers again, aiming just to thrive, gotta keep my soul alive, something like that. Yeah, I haven't sung that in a while.
You're the first one to ever get their own lyrics.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So congrats.
It proves that I write my own shit, guys. Yeah, thank you.